the thing that you mentioned is that Japanese people do not believe that they need negotiation,
No,
right?
no.
Because negotiation is
Of
not,
course, yeah, I have negotiation. Negotiation is kind of causing problems, and like requirement and customer requirement and deliverables is meeting some gaps. How to fill in gaps. It's just kind of negotiation. What
right. But it's also a mindset, right? So in Japan, I believe negotiation by itself is being is avoided because it basically puts you as adversaries. So you, whereas in the West, I think there is a more of an interpretation of negotiation as something not as adversaries but as partners when you're trying to broker a transaction between two parties. So it's not a matter of adversaries. It's a matter of trying to create a transaction. I believe in Japan there's not an equal relationship between customer and supplier. The customer has most power, but to some extent, actually, I realize also now when talking to suppliers that sometimes suppliers can also be not so flexible.
I think that basically the big difference is how to communicate each other. And Japanese people, they are not much discussion with each other. So kind of issue, the problem is not getting service. But American, European people, always they discuss and they talking about content.
We call it high context culture.
Yes, exactly. So this is a big difference. And because the historical background, Japanese is one culture, so they are not so much discuss each other. Basically, right. They rely on each other.
But also they understand each other because they all grew up under the same circumstances, exactly. In the same situation. They went to similar schools, similar language, similar racial background, similar everything. Whereas in Europe, we have a very low context culture. Everything needs to be very explicit. And it's really a virtue in Europe if you are very explicit and you write down everything, you make everything concrete. Because without it, there is still room for interpretation, and we don't like that. We like to be very specific, very outspoken, which for Japanese people I noticed is very difficult because it feels katai. It feels katai. It also is very uncomfortable at times to discuss everything. It's just not comfortable.
Like I have dinner with company executives, once or twice a week, and they looks like they understand what I say, or I try to understand what their intention. But tell the truth, behind the scene, lot of things we cannot communicate each other. This I feel. Because what I said, maybe like overseas, how to train the people for working overseas. I can provide programs and so forth, and they looks like understand with a smile, but they don't understand, or they don't agree with me.
Right.
So
that is a big difference, I think, with Western culture and Japanese culture. In Western culture, you would say, "Sorry, not interested."
Exactly. So, and then, sorry, I have two questions.
Right.
Sorry, I disagree with you.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have some recommendation for you. Sort of things are Western people were going to speak out, what I said, but Japanese people never say that.
Right. So, and as a supplier in your case, it's not deemed to be polite to be pushing for an answer or a direct response and say, okay, so when are we going to start? That is too much confrontational. So you need to give the other side some leeway, some space to make a gracious exit without having to tell you directly that he will not procure your services, for example.
You say Japanese?
Japanese, yeah.
So I think before negotiation skill, Japanese has a different culture. So not easy to get what they think.
Right.
Not easy to
But
get their request.
supposedly, you understand each other better, but maybe that's not. So what you're saying is maybe that's not necessarily true. We don't really know what they're thinking, but so the question that I have is, why don't you directly ask, okay, so when do we get started, for example, or what does it, okay, which remaining steps do I need to take before we can sign this contract? That would be a normal question in Western business culture. You don't do that in Japan. Why not?
Japanese people, okay. If you're going to, like a Western way, you're going to prepare a list of the questionnaires. But many cases, they do not think in detail of the kind of questionnaires. So they cannot answer for you. How do you think about those? No, we're going to do it on the way. Very risky.
Right.
And they coming up surface some question problem, but usually this is out of budget. But they are not thinking at the front. At the front, they are not thinking what project is going.
But is it because they cannot think this way, or is it because they don't want to?
No custom.
Right. But why? Where did this custom come from?
Okay, we were going to, like, for example, a house or building. You're going to make it. They don't think in detail up front.
Really?
Yeah. And
Even about making a house?
Yeah, don't think in detail. On going to start, but I think we had better like this one. They're going to complain for that kind of things. Not like Westerners. In detail, they don't think about in detail.
Really?
Okay, the construction company will show in detail, specs.
Right.
But they don't see in detail.
So if I would...
So construction company understand it's kind of more flexible to changing, components.
Right. But I noticed that in Japan, for example, for construction, basically everything is kind of like pre-designed, predetermined. Everything is almost like ready. And there's a little bit customization necessary, but if you buy a house, you buy type A, type B, type C.
Oh, exactly, yes.
So it's 100% like already prepared. It's not like, okay, let's make a house, let's start from scratch and start designing.
But China is a different thinking way. China is, they're going to buy condominium, nothing in there, just only the box.
Right, I know.
Because they cannot prepare fixed, decoration. No, they can't do that. Chinese make a lot of complaint, right? So nothing, just only box space. Then you're going to buy something. You're going to change something after you buy the room. Okay, you're going to do it by yourself.
Right.
And I think Western are the same, right?
Yeah.
So negotiation is, I think, Japanese. Some cases they don't think in detail at front. They're gradually thinking later. Now also they don't tell the truth in their mind. Like a dinner, I'm talking with just my proposal. I give them proposal. They never tell the truth. Right, good idea. That's all. Maybe okay. We're willing to consider. Consider? No, they don't consider.
But do you then ask them? Okay, so when do we have the next meeting? How about next week? For example, to discuss the details of the...
Actually, he is willing to do, and he's going to speak out. Okay, we meet with me next week. But if not, they don't tell me next time. But I don't know. They're seriously thinking about, or they are not seriously thinking about. I don't know. And one case was the training for the company. They never called me. I just okay, this is gone. even if they're going to call me later, but they never call. There's no intention. And I'm optimistic guy. Okay, I'm waiting for call, but no call. Oh, okay, that's all. So
You never follow up?
no, maybe no intention they have.
But sometimes, no. Why don't you ask?
No. They.
I always follow up.
No, I don't. This is Japanese. I understand. Wait 2 weeks, nothing happened. Okay, nothing happened.
It could have been that it escaped their mind, that they forgot to think about it. It's
For
possible.
Japanese, no. If there's some intention, they will call me. They send some sign. So this is negotiation. I think, is different from Westerners. If you're going to Westerners, you need to negotiate Japanese. You should understand Japanese spirit.
So
Everybody don't know. You try to call Japanese company later. Japanese, I understand. No, you don't need to. I understand. So very difficult negotiation with Japanese people. Two parts. First is they never tell the truth. Second part is they don't think about it in detail.
But they will figure it out later.
Okay, Takashi join, right?
すみません、気づけませんでした。
Okay, no problem. Huh? いや、あなたなんか音楽うるさくて消したんだよ。
あ、すみません。
So there, okay. I can share the screen. You can see our screen, right?
Yes.
Okay, we started 30 minutes ago already. By the way, okay. We can show his face, but not to me. I can show our face.
The only way is that we are a little bit in the
No, not here.
Not here. No. So we can't do it with the presentation.
No, not our face.
But if you would open what's it called if you would open what's it called the Mac FaceTime, then you can show the
FaceTime,
I think.
Mac FaceTime.
FaceTime, yeah.
We can show a face here.
I'm not 100% sure.
But maybe not here. Here.
FaceTime.
Oh yeah.
No, I don't know whether we can close this here.
No, this one.
Oh, this is okay.
Yes, this.
Correct?
Yeah. And you can maybe. No, I can't do this.
Oh, no, the other one, I think. So, hey.
No. How come? Oh, no. Okay, they're going out like this. Huh? But this screen is, I think it's going to be bigger. screen is very rough, right?
You're right.
Right?
Mm.
And one way is you can come closer. Your face here. Here you go.
Okay.
And then going down. Looks like Camtasia. Oh, it's good.
Oh.
First time.
But we can't see you now.
No, I don't need to. I need that to come here.
So we are going to sway back.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Takahashi, we just started the negotiation.
Right. So yeah, we were talking about the difference in attitude during negotiation between high context culture like Japan and the low context culture like most of Europe. And Uno-san, he signaled actually there are two main challenges when negotiating with Japanese. That one is usually they don't tell you the truth. The Japanese side, they may have their ideas about your proposal, but they will never tell you honestly what their intentions are. Especially, I assume, especially when they're not considering to accept your proposal. And the other one is that they don't really think in depth of detail. That means that basically in Western negotiations you need to think in depth of detail because we live in a low context culture and we believe not in personal relationships but in the letter of the law. Because we believe in the letter of the law, we need to be very specific in our contractual agreements. What is included in the contract, what is not, and also the conditions under which your delivery will be accepted are important elements of a contract. That is the basis of our collaboration, not trust. Of course, trust is also important, but we put more trust in the contract than in the one-on-one relationships. So this creates a gap between Japanese negotiators and Western negotiators because they're looking for something else. Clarity, for example, is something that is very much appreciated in the Western side. We want to know, all right, so are we in agreement? We agree to this. It's very common in a negotiation that you discuss things and then it's common practice that after discussing things, somebody, and usually that's the most experienced, the most seasoned negotiator, will take the opportunity to recap what he has just heard. And that also creates the possibility to actually sway the negotiation in your direction by deliberately omitting things that were not so beneficial for you. You can actually create a context, just like you do when you're preparing a negotiation. You can also do that while summarizing the discussion and creating a structure. So seasoned negotiators will take the opportunity to recap what has been discussed and to summarize.
You're talking about the European people?
European people. To summarize the points that we have agreed on. So we agreed on this, we agreed on that, we agreed on that, we agreed on that. And that is then basically set in stone. I don't feel that this is done in Japan. At least I do not experience this very often. What do you think?